Westfield Memorial Hospital provides high-quality health care to residents of Western New York, offering patients the most sophisticated medical advancements while keeping the ease and familiarity of a community hospital. Support for Chautauqua Sunrise has been provided by WRFA 107.9 FM, Jamestown's public radio station, streaming online 24/7 at WRFALP.com. Low power to the people. Meter's Restaurant, a family tradition for over 50 years in downtown Ripley, is a proud supporter of Chautauqua Sunrise. Meter's provides all-day dining, banquet services, and custom catering, specializing in pie.
Funding for Chautauqua Sunrise is provided in part by the County of Chautauqua Industrial Development Agency, with offices in Jamestown and Dunkirk, helping businesses to prosper throughout Chautauqua County. For more information on how the CCIDA can assist your business, visit choosechq.com.
From supporting people with disabilities to enjoy great lives, to providing health care services that are available to anyone, the Resource Center has been improving our county for more than 60 years. Learn more about how the Resource Center makes a positive difference in people's lives.
Is getting vaccinated on your to-do list? We can help you check it off, because we make getting vaccinated easy. You've got this, because we've got you. To learn more, visit yougotthis.usaging.org.
From the Access Chautauqua Studios in Mayville, it's Chautauqua Sunrise. Chautauqua Sunrise is hosted by Doc Hamels and supported by the award-winning volunteers at Access Chautauqua. We are here to share local news, colorful interviews, and events of interest to everyone. Chautauqua Sunrise is broadcast live Saturday mornings each week from 9 to 10 a.m. Send events via email or call us live. Check us out on YouTube and Facebook. And now, from the Access Chautauqua Studios, it's Chautauqua Sunrise.
Hey everybody, good morning. I'm so glad to be back. Thanks Randy Bird for covering for me for the last couple of weeks. Barbara and I were able to get away and get down into some warmer weather and just kind of relax a bit. So glad to be back. The weather was nice and sunny this morning, but it was cold. Boy, oh boy. But Justin, did you see the weather report for next week? 50s, even 60, I think, on one day. So I think we're getting close to the end of things. So that's really great. Hope you're all doing well. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. As people know, we stream around the world. And so let's see. I'll say good morning to my friends in the Ukraine. Good morning to my relatives and friends in Belgium and Holland, the Netherlands, wherever you are in the United States. And I think my brother might be watching down in Florida somewhere as he's vacationing with my sister-in-law, Peg. So if you're out there, good morning. And of course, all throughout Chautauqua County. Glad to have you here today. Want to say good afternoon to all my listeners on WRFA 107.9, Low Power to the People, Tuesdays at 1 o'clock. It's so great to be able to have a working relationship with the radio station to get all the good stuff that we're going to be talking about week after week here on Chautauqua Sunrise. And speaking of which, today we're going to be talking about Economic Development Part 2. We talked about some of these things with Nate Aldrich and Monica Simpson a few weeks ago, and I call it the invisible people. They're the people that make this county move forward that you don't even know about, and all the good stuff that they do to help keep industries here and so on. And we're going to go into great detail in a little bit on that, so stay tuned. Speaking of which, if you are watching the show live and you do want to ask a question of me or my guest, 716-753-5225. Okay, 716-753-5225. Now, if you're listening on the radio, the show's already over. If you're watching this throughout the week, because we do rebroadcast at 2 and 8 every single day here on Access Chautauqua on Spectrum 1301. How's that for a plug? And you can email us a question or a comment if you have a club or organization that has a fundraiser, we are more than happy to share that with the rest of the world, okay? Free of charge. That's what we're here and what we're all about. So let's see, what else do I have here? Okay, a couple of notations here that as I was coming to the studio today, it was 22 degrees sunny, but guess what? Roads were a little slick out there. So this is black ice season. If you don't know, if you're not familiar or you're new to the area, black ice is this very thin layer of ice that takes place, especially after we've had a warm day, and it melts and it kind of flows across the roads and driveways, and then it just like flash freezes. It's very dangerous, and you just be aware of it and just take your time if you even get any sense that there's anything slippery out there. I've done a couple skadooches over the years. Okay, and also deer. Oh my gosh, our white-tailed deer here in Chautauqua County are on the move. And you might say, why? Well, if you understand Chautauqua County, we have what we call the escarpment, which is the highlands, and the deer have been up there for quite a while. And as the snow melts, guess what? Green stuff starts popping up, so they start moving down and down and down and down. And of course, they're rearing their young now pretty soon and so forth. And so they're on the move, especially in around dusk and in the night. And they're always shooting by me as I'm going up through Ripley. So just take your time, keep your eyes open for them any time of the day, really. Okay? Now, this is the part that I always mess up. Are you ready, Jeff? I'll see if I get this right. Tonight, when you go to bed, if you choose to, you need to change your clocks. And if I got this right, you got to add an hour. How's that? You got to move them ahead. How'd I do, Jeff? Got to get that right? He usually tells me. Thank you. It's spring forward. I always get that backwards. So anyway, so tonight's daylight savings time. I don't understand why we still do it. I don't even know if I like it. The dog gets confused because he gets me up earlier than I need to. So I don't know. It's like anything else. You can sit around debating that topic all night and nobody will agree whether it's a good thing or not. Guess what? I didn't change a lot of clocks in my house last fall, so I'm good to go tomorrow morning. Some of them are automatic anyways. But anyways, change your clocks. And then also, I think it's on March 14th. So that would be sometime this coming week, right? Friday maybe? There's going to be what they call a blood moon or something like that. There's going to be something really, really cool out there. So check the papers. They'll keep you posted on that. All right, let's see here what I got. I think I've covered all the little things I want to talk about. So let's have a little look here on the announcements, and then we're going to get to my guest. All right, Red Jeff, here we go. Slide 15. All right, silent film time, scored to REM and One of Them Days to show at the Reg Linnaeus Center for the Arts. It's a classic film in modern music, and they're paired in Buster Keaton's Sherlock Jr. with REM's Monster and New Adventures in Hi-Fi. That's an interesting concept. A silence-synced film will be shown March 12th at 7 p.m. That's Wednesday. A film projectionist longs to be a detective and puts his meager skills to work when he is framed by a rival for stealing his girlfriend's father's pocket watch. Oh, the horror. This classic 1924 silent film is tracked to REM's albums Monster and New Adventures in Hi-Fi. Sherlock Jr. is unrated and is 72 minutes long. But it's not very often you get to see a silent movie. Justin, you ever seen a silent no talkie? They're kind of cool. Best friends and roommates Drew, oh boy, here we go. Drew and Elisa are about to have One of Them Days. That's the other movie. That's going to be shown Friday, March 14th, 7 p.m., just before the blood moon, when they discover Elisa's boyfriend has blown their rent money. The duo finds themselves going to extremes in a comical race against the clock to avoid eviction and keep their friendship intact. One of Them Days is rated R. It's 97 minutes long. There's some upcoming movies at the Reg, which includes Best Actress nominee Fernanda Torres in the Oscar winner for Best International Feature called I'm Still Here. That's March 19th. And the rock documentary Becoming Led Zeppelin. Ooh, that'd be interesting. March 26th at 7 p.m. Tickets are generally $8. or $10 online. Okay? If you're interested, give them a call at 716-484-7070. All right, let's keep moving along. We get different kinds of announcements from the Cornell Cooperative Extension, and you might say, why are you talking about this stuff? Because there's some of us that are interested in these things and others may not. But anyways, Cornell Cooperative Extension of Chautauqua County's Master Gardener Program, I know Master Gardeners, is excited to announce their registration is now open for the 3rd Annual Gardening Symposium, scheduled for Saturday, May 3 at Jamestown Community College at the Carnahan Center. Gardening enthusiasts, teachers, and nature lovers are all encouraged to participate in the day's learning focused on native herbs and plants, pollinators, habit protection, and the joys of gardening with children. All right, the symposium begins at 8 a.m. and ends at 12:45 p.m., so it's not that long, just almost 5 hours. We'll feature 2 keynote speakers and a panel of teachers who manage successful school garden programs. Both keynote speakers have experience and a passion for gardening, which is to captivate and motivate all attendees. All right, so how do you know and what do you got to do? So you call 664-9502, okay, 664-9502, extension 203. It's $25, unless you're a master gardener, and there's different fees at different levels. But anyways, give them a call, and it sounds really cool. And being a gardener myself, I've still yet to achieve anything more than green beans and tomatoes at my house, because last year we had a drought. It was horrible. We hardly could grow anything. So we're going to try again this year. Okay, and then there's another one from the Cooperative Extension, and this is called LEAF. LEAF classes are starting up again in the spring of this year with some returning favorites and new topics. So LEAF stands for Learn, Empower, Achieve, Farm. Is a series of classes that are available to any adult interested in learning about agriculture. No experience necessary. The extension strives to diversify and grow agriculture in Chautauqua County by connecting our area residents, homesteaders, and farmers to educational resources. Now, I'm not making any political statement here, but a lot of people might say, I'm getting tired of the price of eggs. I want to raise some chickens. Check it out, all right? So they're going to have different programs throughout the year, the summer and the spring. It's only $5 a class. Again, if you're interested, give them a call. I'll give you the same phone number, 664-9502. And they have all kinds of fun things going on, whether it has to do with your garden or just some kind of safety things. A lot of times we don't even realize we're using sprays that can be dangerous to ourselves. So on and on. This next one's kind of interesting. Many of you seen Jeff Witten, who's been on the show a few times, from Rural Minds. So I'm going to read just a little bit about this, and it's sort of an opinion that he wants to share, and I believe it was in the newspaper as well. So let's get that up there, slide 16. Okay, this is just a message right now. It says, and this is Jeff Witten speaking now. He says, I'm a multi-generational family dairy farmer and a mental health advocate for 46 million people who call rural America their home. He's deeply concerned by the actions taken by the current administration in our country regarding the newly imposed tariffs that will damage an already fragile agricultural marketplace in this country. In their work at Rural Minds, they often cite statistics about what rural communities and the farming communities specifically deal with even before these tariffs were imposed. People in rural America, for example, are 65% more likely to die by suicide than people living in large urban areas. And farmers are twice as likely to take their own lives compared to workers in other professions. The expected economic impact of these tariffs will likely also take a toll on the mental health of those working in what is already a challenging business. So, the message is simple as this, folks. Chautauqua County is pretty agricultural. Jeff supports and advocates for you as well as other folks in the country. Jeff is right here in the Mayville-Sherman area. And if you are interested to chat with him, if you are feeling stressed by whatever's going on in the country, you can go to his website, Rural Minds, all one word, ruralminds.org, and contact Jeff and his staff, and they can do support and give you some some assistance in that area. And anytime there's any kind of stressors in our lives, we sometimes need to reach out. So Jeff, thank you for sharing that and passing that information along. On a different note, Gus Macker. Anybody hear that? Mm-hmm. The excitement of street basketball is set to return to Jamestown, New York, as the 2025 Gus Macker 3-on-3 basketball tournament takes place on Saturday, August 9 and Sunday, August 10 on the campus of SUNY Jamestown. This highly anticipated event is hosted by the City of Jamestown Collaborative Children's Solutions, otherwise called Patsmeraldo, and it's a signature sponsor of the Southern Chautauqua Federal Credit Union, bringing together players of all ages and skill levels, from seasoned athletes to neighborhood hoopsters. The Gus Macker tournament is a weekend full of high-energy competition, community spirit, and family fun. Teams from across the region will compete in divisions designed for all ages and abilities, including top men's and women's division, junior divisions, Mackermites, those are little guys 8 and under, in a unified division. The Gus Macker tournament is one of the highlights of the summer in Jamestown, says Pat Smeraldo, president of Collaborative Children's Solutions. We are thrilled to once again, according to Pat, to bring this incredible event to our community, and we are grateful to the City of Jamestown and all the sponsors and dedicated volunteers. Okay, and then it says, beyond basketball, the event will feature food, vendors, music, and family-friendly activities, and making it a can't-miss weekend for players and spectators alike. The tournament enters its third and final year of the contract held with Collaborative Children's Solutions, and will look to bring new partners in to assure its presence in our community for years to come. So that's coming up, and so you might be interested in either participating or volunteering. So I'm going to give you an email address if you're interested in getting a hold of Pat. And it's this is all one word now, okay? CC Solutions 716. Okay, all one word, CC Solutions 716 at gmail.com. Or you can go to Gus Macker, Jamestown, New York, and it's on Facebook. Okay, so those are some things that are coming up. So we're going to take a little breather, and we'll be right back. Stay tuned, because my guests can't wait to come on. This is for you.
Hart, what's going on?
I'm leaving.
Why? What did I do?
Not enough. You constantly ignore me. You barely eat anything healthy. You're half as active as you used to be. The pressure is just too much. I quit.
Okay, I get it. I'll do better. Just please, don't leave.
Okay. But remember, if I go, you go.
Listen to your heart. Don't let it quit on you. Uncontrolled high blood pressure could lead to stroke, heart attack, or death. Get yours to a healthy range before it's too late.
Today I have two folks that I've known for a number of years now, and I want to welcome back to the show Mark Geise and Jason Sample. And rather than give you your titles, they're going to pop up because all your titles are so long. So anyways, so Mark and Jason, welcome back to the show.
Thank you.
I got to take this cough drop for whatever reason. I guess coming back from the south and the temperature changes is goofing up my throat. So you heard a little bit from Jeff Whitten about agricultural folks being stressed by what's going on at the government level, and we're going to get to that in a little while, okay? So I want you to be thinking about what's going on in the country, and people might be saying, well, how's this going to affect Chautauqua County? But you guys are with something called the Chautauqua County Industrial Development Agency. What is it?
So the IDA, the CCIDA.
That's why I call it the IDA.
It's a public authority created by the state of New York. Mm-hmm. It's been around for over 50 years. And we are an agency that helps businesses to either locate here, to expand their operations here, or purchase equipment, typically. So we have a number of incentives that we provide to companies, and it's all about either retaining jobs or creating jobs. We also have, we have incentives that are in the form of tax breaks, but we also have a low interest, high risk loan fund that we work with the banks to make these projects happen.
How low is low?
4%.
4%.
Yep.
I would have killed to have a 4% loan years ago.
Yeah.
I remember my daughter bought her first house, and because she was a first-time owner, female. There was some special program, and it was like 4.2%. And she looks at me and goes, "Dad, is that a good rate?" I go, "Are you kidding me? I paid 10% when we built our house.
Yeah.
I would give it anything for that." So, well, that's good. Okay.
Yeah. So we have several business development managers and CFO and others. That
How many
are,
staff?
At the IDA, we have 8 full-time.
Cool.
And those business development managers are in constant contact with the businesses to make sure that, if there's any issues, that there are any challenges that they have, that we can be proactive and try to help them before, something catastrophic happens.
So you're like the local support system for a business that comes into the area, or just ongoing? Okay.
Yeah, and we also, one other thing that's really important is that technical assistance. Sometimes when companies don't necessarily know who to turn to or what's available at the state level,
Absolutely.
what's available at the federal level, and we can help them sort of lay out a plan for how they can access funding.
Do you know? That's what I do here every week. Technical assistance. Honest to goodness, people will call me or email me and say, "Who do I contact? You know everybody." And I'll say, "Oh, go to the IDA. Oh, go to the Small Business Development Center. Go, and because we're like a clearinghouse here. So, yeah, I understand that.
Yeah, so we do that as well. And then, and Jason will talk in a little while about the marketing efforts and communication efforts that we've had, but we also do that. We are trying to promote the county.
Okay. So, we talked a little bit before the show, and I was kind of giving you my thoughts on things. And having been an administrator for the Erie to Chautauqua Cattaraugus BOCES for a long time, I was in charge of the Geise Center at one point and the Hughes Center at one point, and I oversaw the career and technical education programs. And I keenly understood what our role was. And hear me out, I think you'll understand where I'm going with this, is that we were in charge of bringing young folks into an educational setting to train them with the skill set, with the, what's the word I want to say, with the personal soft skills to be ready to go into the labor force that Chautauqua County needed. We saw ourselves as one player at the table for economic development. Who else is at the table?
Oh, I mean, we started, I know Nate and Monica were on, was it last week or a couple of weeks ago?
3-4 weeks ago, yeah.
And they through the partnership, I'm sure they talked about over 100 economic development stakeholders that are at the table.
Right.
And that can be everyone from the municipalities, certainly they are, the workforce development folks, the land bank, and the housing side and all the housing agencies. The tourism bureau certainly plays a role.
So in economic development, it's not just,
right,
I don't know, building a building. It's everybody working together to say, if you want to come to Chautauqua County, we're going to help you with this, and we're going to help you with that. We're going to provide this. Hospitals, schools, labor force. And people sometimes get really narrow-minded, I think, in my opinion, where they just say, well, what do how come we're losing people, to the South? Well, a lot of people are coming back from the South. I talk to them. A lot of people think, well, we're losing population. I'm going, because people aren't having 10 kids anymore. They're having like 1.5 or 2, or I make that up statistically, they say 1.5, but our families are smaller. So yeah, we're losing population, but maybe it's not the way you think. On the other hand, the kind of work that we're seeing is we're seeing, I think, a changeover of kinds of industries that we're getting. We're getting more service organization, service companies, and cleaner industry. Where people always thought, well, I'm not going to go into that because my father worked in the steel mills, blah 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 blah. A lot of those jobs aren't around anymore. Am I right?
Yeah. I mean, tourism is one of the top 3 industries in our county. I remember 30 years ago when I started my career, you talked about tourism, and people really poo-pooed it.
Oh yeah.
No, we can't be concentrating on that. We need to bring the manufacturing jobs back. we still have a very strong manufacturing sector here.
Absolutely.
We're something like twice the amount of workforce here in manufacturing compared to the state. So we have a very strong manufacturing
I toured
sector.
a lot of those places when I was working, and they were beautiful factories and workplaces.
Well, one of the things that, automation, right?
Mm-hmm.
Automation has really come into play where, you don't need 5 people to do a job now. You might need 1 to run a machine a CNC machine or something like
absolutely.
that.
CNC, yeah.
So there's also that plays into, the number of people you
You know,
need here.
and I hear this all the time, and I know we chatted a little bit about this. Well, there's no jobs, there's no this, there's no that. I got to work at fast food, or I got to be a whatever. That's not true. My kids, 3 out of the 4 went to career tech. They're doing really well.
Mm-hmm.
All right, they're doing okay. They have family sustaining wages, and I know a lot of the students that I had have their own businesses now and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, are there jobs?
Yeah, you've probably heard me say this before, but we really don't have a job creation or job availability issue here.
How would you do that?
We have a job filling problem.
Yeah.
And, if people want a job right now, there are jobs. If they want to work, they have very low unemployment. We're about the state average, around 4. And so, it's really, creating jobs is important, don't get me wrong. It really is, in creating good jobs. But when I go and talk to businesses and ask them, what's your number 1 challenge? They always say, 9 times out of 10, they say, I have open positions that I'm having a hard time filling.
We travel a lot, my wife and I, and it could be within the United States or internationally. I don't care what language it is, help wanted.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
It's everywhere. It's not just here.
But the point is, there's jobs.
Yeah, there are jobs.
And good paying jobs.
Yeah, very good.
Can you give an example of maybe some of those jobs that are out there?
Well, there's, a lot of you have the technical jobs like welding and that kind of stuff, which are really important. But, I talked about automation, people that can run machines, that have some level of skill and not programming, but running computer programs and being able to operate those machines. For sure, those are in high demand.
Yeah.
Yep. And then, the healthcare industry, which is sort of outside of my realm, but that's always been, one of those areas where they always need more people.
Jason's sitting over there really quiet right now.
Yep.
So let's get to him a little bit,
Yeah,
give you
please.
a break. So, Jason, what are you doing over there at the IDA? I mean, you were on radio.
Yeah, I focused on radio and journalism for a good 20 years, but I help out with marketing and communications now with the IDA, assisting with promoting not only what the IDA has been up to or what it's doing, but also highlighting the Partnership for Economic Growth. So I sort of fill that dual role of working with Monica and Nate, who were here a few weeks ago, as well as working with Mark and the IDA team. And there's a lot of overlap there. A few of our initiatives actually coincide with what both the partnership's trying to do and the IDA is trying to do. A good example is our talent attraction and retention effort. We call it Live CHQ. So, my job is really just to focus on getting the messaging out there, marketing and promoting not only what the IDA is doing, but also the benefits of living in Chautauqua County, because that's part of the whole economic development formula, right?
So was there a Jason before Jason?
There was a Jason before Jason. Yep.
They only hire Jasons for marketing.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
That's one of the
Okay.
prerequisites.
But I mean, and it's not to disparage anybody that was before you, but I've seen a lot of stuff coming out of your office because I get a lot of your information.
Well, we really have Jason now really we've got him sort of zeroed in on what we think is important, and it's not just about promoting the IDA. Again, it's about promoting the county as a great place to live and work and start a business because of all the great things there are here. And that's going to really, I think, the primary objective is really 2 things, and it's to, we've had population decline here since 1970. You talked about it. Well, how do we get more people to come here? That's one thing, but also filling those open jobs that we talked about. So really promoting the county is super important, and he's doing a lot of that.
So, we've kind of talked about the amenities of the Chautauqua County. So what? What when you're talking to businesses and they're trying to fill these jobs, is that an important thing?
Yeah, it's one of the main indicators, besides obviously salary, when somebody's looking to relocate here or come here, is what is there to do outside of working here? You know, one of the main factors is outdoor amenities, quality of life aspects, also affordability. You're going to pay me X amount of money. Am I going to have enough money to cover the cost of a mortgage, for example, or commuting or transfer? So we really just try to highlight through our Live CHQ campaign all the benefits that come, whether it be outdoor activities or quality of life aspects, as we like to call it. Also, the culture that's here in the county, because we have Chautauqua Institution. We have some really great historical destinations, as you and I both know, around the county. We try to highlight that outdoor amenities with our trail system. Over 250 recreation trails, not counting snowmobiling. That's just, non-motorized trail
Fishing,
usage.
kayaking,
Exactly.
Swimming, all that stuff.
And these are all things that young adults and families really want to know about, or what is there to do in the community besides punching a clock at the start of the day and at the end of the day. What am I going to do outside of that? What is there to do on the weekend? So we really try to highlight that through our relocation guide, we call it, which is just a way to help.
Yeah, where do you get these?
You can find them, at our office, at the Visitors Bureau. We give them to employers as well, because when they're recruiting folks, they want to make sure that they can inform them about what's happening in Chautauqua County.
Also online.
Yeah, as well as online on our website. So, we literally have thousands of these that we've printed. We want to get them in as many hands as possible, so anybody who's listening or watching right now that's interested in getting a relocation guide, either for their Airbnb, we have them in motels as well, in hotels, but we really just try to distribute them as far and wide across the county as possible to inform our visitors and residents.
I could see, a recruiter for a big business here in Chautauqua County having a stack of these and handing them to prospective employees and say, here we are.
We printed 13,000 of these about 5 years ago, 6 years ago, and we've done 2 updates since. And I think those were about 4,000 more or 5,000 more that we printed. So we've distributed probably 13 or 14,000 of these to the businesses. Every time we go and visit a business, we have a conversation about this.
There's that support you're talking about. Yeah.
Yep, we give them a stack. We get our website linked to theirs. So if somebody's looking at a job there, they can click on that and go, wow, this is really, especially with the trailing spouse as well. I wanted to say one thing about that. Because there are so many jobs out there, our young people, or I guess anyone, right, has options.
Definitely. I wouldn't know what to do if I was a kid
They have
right now.
options.
There's lots of choices.
And so when it comes right down to it, with everything else equal, okay, I'm looking at companies, they're all paying me about the same. What's there to do there?
Yeah.
I want to go to a place where it's cool to live.
Yeah.
And
Chautauqua County is it.
Yeah, it really is.
Because as you know, I'm not from Chautauqua County originally. I've been here
Me either.
like 53 years or whatever or more. And I it's unbelievable here. I love it.
I know, I'll say that I'm, native of Jamestown, grew up in Faulkner area, very familiar with Chautauqua County. I'm always amazed by the people who have moved here and how much they love it here. And, I think a lot of natives have a chip on their shoulder or don't see the forest for the trees.
Oh
and
my
oftentimes
God, it's great
people,
here.
I don't want to say overly negative, but sometimes there's that little bit of an edge that people who live around here have about living in this area. But as somebody who's grown up here, had an opportunity to live elsewhere, came back here, and I love it here. Been working professionally here for over 20 years, and I hope it will continue, for another 20 years because it is a wonderful place to live, and I think we need to take more pride as natives of this area, not just residents who have relocated here.
Jason, you were talking about what people ask about the area, and what I always found when I was working, hiring people and so on, at least the second or third question is how are the schools? Where are the good schools and things like that? And so, again, at the table to bring in people for jobs and job creation is your school systems, your local schools. And keeping that quality going. So everybody's got their part here, don't they?
Right. Yeah, I would encourage anybody to visit livechq.org, which is the website that we use for a lot of the out-of-county marketing we do, and in-county as well. But it's really, when we do our marketing on social media or on Google, for example, we don't just market in New York State. We try to market in areas around the Northeast and even in the South and out West as well. And what we're trying to do is open up people's eyes and inform them about Chautauqua County by steering them to livechq.org. But on that website, you'll see details about our healthcare, about our education system, about outdoor amenities, about various cultures, and the unique communities that comprise Chautauqua County. You know, somebody from Panama has an entirely different experience of living in Chautauqua County than somebody in Dunkirk, for example. So we really try to outline all of the different diversity and all the different factors, different communities that exist in the county, and how you really can find a place here if you want to relocate here that's unique to your interests. And there's plenty of great places to live in the county.
Living in Ripley, we always say, how close are we to municipal centers? I mean, within 2-3 hours, you can go to Buffalo, Cleveland, Pittsburgh. You can get up into Canada, right? I mean, and I'm sure I'm missing other places, but I mean, we're pretty centrally located to a lot of areas. If people say, well, they need to go to, I don't know, some kind of a restaurant that isn't in Chautauqua, well, you can go just down the road and find those things, right?
Right. One of the things that I had to write just this past week was an editorial for a national magazine called Business Facilities, and they wanted us to advertise with them, and as an incentive they let us write an editorial. That's one of the key indicators that we include in our editorial piece and promotional piece to people outside of the area is like, hey, Chautauqua County is a rural county, but within 3 hours there's Cleveland, Pittsburgh, Toronto, Buffalo.
Yeah.
You can get big city feel at a very short distance when you live in Chautauqua County. So we highlight that, especially for businesses when they want to come into the area
Airports
and set up.
and things
right.
like that.
They want to
We're
know
very close to
about
about 3 or 4
the
major
transportation
airports.
infrastructure,
Right.
how easy it is. So when Mark will probably talk about the Ripley site that we're currently developing here in a moment, we want to make sure people know that's right on I-90, a major corridor that connects the Midwest to the West Coast, to the East Coast, and we have prime development opportunity right there next to that I-90 spot. When we promote that outside of the county, we want people to know not only is there a location for you to develop, but there's also a great community for your workers to live in once you develop here.
Okay, Mark, it's time to toot your own horn. I know that you guys have a really nice document here that talks about what you did in the past year. So I'm going to be quiet and just let you share with the folks what happened last year.
Yeah, you want to put up that slide?
Sure, Jeff.
On the
Summary of accomplishments.
Summary of accomplishments.
That it?
You know, this infographic, sort of a snapshot of what we accomplished in 2024. I think we really had a good year. We've had 4 or 5 good years in a row. We didn't do quite as much as we did last year in terms of total investment in the community or jobs created, but those things swing back and forth. I mean,
there's no predictability.
Yeah, people have asked how many jobs are you going to create, and I said as many as possible.
But you don't create them, right?
No, the jobs the businesses create
but you
the
help
jobs.
them create the jobs.
We provide incentives to the businesses to create the jobs.
Okay.
So this infographic really shows that 166 new jobs created from $311 million of investment by businesses, which will result in 560 or so construction jobs, which are very important for our trades, electricians, plumbers, etc. And then the jobs retained, 771 is really, jobs retained are really just as important as jobs created.
Okay,
right?
hold on.
Yeah.
So 166 new jobs?
Yep.
561 temporary jobs.
Yeah, those are construction
so
jobs.
They would come in and build a building and then they're done.
Or they could be here, they could be here and they could be hiring for those jobs.
Okay.
Like Wells or somebody like
And
that.
then the
Those big construction. 771 is retained jobs. So those are companies that without our assistance, there was a good chance that they would move out.
That's huge.
Yeah.
I think to me that stands out.
It's retention of jobs. And then we also secured over $4 million in grants, which is also super important. We are really active in the grants area.
What do you do with that?
Well, there's a lot of different things. I mean, you think about like the Ripley site. We'll probably talk about that more.
Yeah, I got it noted here.
Yeah, the Ripley site. I mean, we secured, and this was actually in 2023. We secured a $5.25 million state grant called Fast New York for helping with shovel-ready sites.
Right.
We also secured in 2024 2 Appalachian Regional Commission grants for Ripley, totaling about $3 million.
ARC.
ARC, yes.
I know these things.
So that's 2 examples,
Yeah.
but there's others, like we do Office of Community Renewal, which is a HUD program. We help businesses that aren't entitlement communities secure grants for assisting them with their businesses if they're creating jobs. So there's different places that we tap into money each year.
You know, you talked about, you said housing, right?
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
I know,
yeah.
and what I want to say on
Yeah.
that is
Yeah.
if people always say, well, there's a lot of houses in Chautauqua County. Well, a lot of houses, if you go through a lot of our communities, unfortunately, they're pretty sad, you know, and probably should be knocked down and replaced. And I know that I see a lot of times people are saying, I'm just looking to rent, you know, a 3-bedroom house. That they don't exist.
Yeah.
Because the market, I think, don't call on the phone. I don't know this for sure. But it just seems, what I'm seeing is that people are having a hard time finding some housing.
Well, I know, and I go to a lot of conferences and talk to a lot of people and read a lot of articles, that housing is one of, we talk about quality of life, right? Quality of life, but housing availability is also a super important issue. I think back when I was looking for a house in this county 30 plus years ago, I bought an old house that needed a lot of work. Hanging drywall and slapping mud on.
We built our house.
Yeah.
I know what
Yeah.
you're talking about.
And I'm not saying that people don't want to do that now, but having safe, affordable, efficient, newer housing is so important when somebody is looking to locate in an area. And
Turnkey.
like
There
you
you
said,
go.
we have the oldest housing stock in the nation here in this county. And so it's really important, I think, to create new housing here.
Yeah. Like you
Period.
said, and some of it are beautiful homes. They look really cool, but when you get inside, the old plumbing, old lead paint, you've got no insulation to speak of, because it was just really old style stuff, with central heating, and nobody's going to buy those kinds of houses. Or, and I don't want to digress on this too much, but there's a number of homes that I've seen in our communities as I drive around that are falling apart because it fell into the court system where the person died and there was nobody to take over the house. Or they went bankrupt and they just walked away. And you're smiling, I can tell you're smiling because I'm right on this, because I know we've got the land bank and things like that. So how's that for a good lead-in?
We started the land bank over 10 years ago, one of the first 3 in the state. And the land bank has been able to demolish over 150 dilapidated houses. And there's really not a lot of places to get money for that. And we were able to do it through the land bank, and over 150 houses fixed up from the land bank's efforts. And that was all through the foreclosure process. But there's a lot more to do, to sort of rid the communities of that cancer. And I'm the chair of the land bank board, and we're going to continue to try. Gina Paradis does a really good job, and just trying to chase the money so that we can continue to fix up the ones that have good bones and get rid of the ones that are a cancer.
Yeah. So on my notes here is the Ripley site. So is that part of your report?
Yeah, I do talk about it. We just really to wrap up real quick on the infographic.
Yeah,
we did 18 projects last year, and that can be loans, that can be incentives, etc. But we did do 12 loans that totaled about $5 million to assist businesses.
Sweet. Nice.
And really good stuff. The Ripley site, that's what a bear. Trying to. Going back 5 years now, 5 or 6 years, we really started on this. We sort of picked the ball back up where, I don't know if you remember Bill Daly.
I know
back
Bill
when he was
Daly,
the
yeah.
IDA director, and they started an effort there, and then it kind of went away, and then we picked it back up, and 4 different property owners, 150 acres, doing all the environmental due diligence, which is done now. And then securing the funding to purchase it. The county helped with ARPA funding. The IDA's in on it. National Grid grants, ARC, ESD, Empire State Development, others, to really pull together the $15 million that we needed to now extend the infrastructure into the site, extending electricity to the site, water, sewer,
Infrastructure,
broadband,
yeah.
all the infrastructure, roads.
So where does
to
it
get it up.
stand?
We've got the money secured. We've finished all the environmental due diligence. We just did a request for proposals for a firm to do the construction, the engineering and construction oversight,
Okay.
which then from that, putting together a request for proposals for the actual companies or the business to actually put the infrastructure in.
And where's the location of
contractors.
this for folks that are listening?
So you know where Regal Trucking is, right off of Shortman Road, right off the last exit before you go into
So you
Pennsylvania.
got Love's at one
Yep, right
side.
across the street from Love's is behind Regal Trucking.
Okay.
So the entry road comes right off of Shortman and then opens up to the big site.
So right there, you've got Route 5, Route 20, the railroads are close by, right?
Yep.
So, I mean, it's sort of like, well, it is the gateway into New York State. And
Yep.
again, as Jason said, everything is so close, it's a good central location, right?
Yeah, and people need to understand, I think, what shovel-ready means. Businesses do not want to have to wait and put all the work in over 2 or 3 or 4 years, which is what it takes to get a site ready,
Yeah.
to actually put a shovel in the ground. So we do all that work for them so that when we're done and it's ready and we're marketing, somebody can come in 3 to 6 months, get going. And that's the key. It's decreasing that time to get a shovel in the ground. So we're doing all the environmental stuff, getting all the permits, all that stuff sort of out of the way, getting all the infrastructure ready to go so somebody can come in and start building real quick.
That's terrific.
Yep.
Which I think it's just important to know too, in New York State, I love living in New York State, but we do have a reputation for being somewhat onerous with our regulations and permitting, and to have somebody else do the legwork for you,
Yep.
such as the IDA, I think it's a huge way to incentivize a business to come here when they don't have to worry about jumping through the hoops, as the old saying goes.
All right. So as of today, is there anybody coming in?
Well, I mean, we've had a lot of requests, people, but we're 2 years away.
Oh, okay.
We're
That's
probably
what
the end
people
of
are probably thinking, right?
probably the end of 2026 by the time this thing is ready to go.
Okay.
It takes a long time, and
Yeah.
there's a lot of stuff we have to do it right because we're getting state money and we're getting federal money, and it's sort of like you can't just go and hire somebody to do it. You gotta really follow the rules.
Yeah, I want to move on to a couple things here, but before I do, I got a little note here. As you know, some of the crew here, I call them the Burt boys, they're grateful for the land bank because they bought a home through that whole process, and
Yep.
it's turned out really, really well for them. So
Yeah.
there's a testimonial right there.
Thank you.
You opened the door on federal money. So and I always say this, I don't want to get political because I don't really have anything to add to the conversation because I don't know much about what's going on in DC because I just don't, nor do most of us. But I do know that we can see the effects of things. So what I mean is, when something happens at the federal level, it goes to the state level, it goes to the county level, it goes right down to us. So right now, you watch TV for 3 minutes, you see that a lot of things are happening. And again, I'm not plus or minus, but I know that there are being major cuts, layoffs, programs that fund different things. And a lot of people don't understand that a lot of the times the state monies that we deal with are actual block grants or a large amount of money that comes from a federal agency down to the state. So, with all that being said, and I'll be quiet, what's going on in DC right now? How's that going to affect us at the economic level?
You want the quick answer?
Yeah, sure.
I don't know.
Okay.
The reason I say that is because there's so much uncertainty out there right now, which programs are going to be okay, which aren't, and when we got some federal money involved in this Ripley site. We had a grant that we thought for sure was going to be approved in early January, and now they're saying we don't know. And when I talk to people like my wife Katie runs the Workforce Development Board.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know how they're going to be affected because they get their money's federal that comes through the state that goes to all the counties. So there's so much uncertainty out there that we really don't know, and we'll see how things play
Everybody
out.
stay calm,
Yep.
relax, and let's just see what happens.
Yeah.
Step at a time. That's all we can do, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes those funds get reorganized in a different way, and maybe they still come our way, but through a different agency at the DC level. I don't know.
That's right.
Okay. Tariffs are a big discussion right now. So we just talked about cutting services, but now the tariff is a different situation. So our companies that are here in Chautauqua County, do they export to other countries?
Certainly, and certainly they buy products from other countries and from Canada, and there's a fair amount of nervousness out there.
Well, you heard from Jeff Winton from the agricultural sector. So what?
How it's going to hurt their
so
supply chain.
what are you hearing right now here in Chautauqua
and there's
County?
uncertainty there as well. I mean, in one way, people are nervous, but I also know that we've received more requests or inquiries from Canadian companies recently than we did before. So I don't know how it's going to play out. Is it going to be good for us or bad for us? Again, there's a lot of uncertainty. It's too early to tell how it's going to affect us.
All right, and we're into March now, and we're just a couple months into it.
Yeah.
And so, okay, well, keep me posted on that, because I think everybody's thinking the same thing,
Yeah.
And I think people can debate both sides of whatever the topic is, but like you say, until we see what the end product is, and sometimes we may not know for another year how that all kind of rolls out.
Yeah, and I don't think it's going to be consistent across the board. I think it's going to hurt some and help others. I mean, who knows?
Okay, so one of the last questions that I had posted to myself to ask, and I'll throw this out to both of you, is I know of some folks that are thinking about starting some businesses in the area, and they kind of are floundering a bit, and I tell them, well, there's agencies and people that'll help you, so what should they do?
Call us.
How do they call you? What's the number?
Well, I'll give them my personal cell phone number,
Okay.
or my work cell phone, 716.
Your wife will enjoy that one. Who
Not
talking
the
to?
office cell
Not that.
phone, my work cell phone,
Okay.
716-489-6075.
Okay.
And the reason I say that is because there's a lot of agencies out there, and depending on what the request is, we can direct them in the right. It might be something that we can directly work with them on through the incentives and the resources we have, or it could be something where they need other outside assistance. We, like people, and you mentioned it, the Small Business Development Center, right? Maybe somebody wants to start up a business and they just have it in their head. Well, they can help with a business plan. There might be a business that wants to do some kind of an expansion project. Well, we can bring in the state. We can make sure that they're at the table so that you're taking advantage of all the incentives out there. So it really depends on the project.
Start with you first?
I start with us, yeah.
Okay.
And I'll assign, what I typically do is assign a business development manager to the project. They sit with them, they talk through what they're interested in doing, and then we do a game plan for them.
How small do you work? Are we talking about like a 2-person operation or a 100-person operation?
It could be anybody.
Anybody?
Anybody.
Huh.
Yeah.
So if I wanted to open up an ice cream stand, I could call you?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
But that's cool,
Yeah.
because so many of our businesses in Chautauqua County are just that. They're everyday people running their own businesses and having a little struggle here and there.
And we might not be able to help them with the incentives we have, but we can point them in the right direction. And because there are a lot of resources out there.
I have Greg Carlson come on here with the veterans group. Are there special incentives for groups like veterans and so forth?
There are. That's something that our business development managers are tuned up on. I don't know what they are off the top of my head, but there are. There's so many things out there.
Well, as a good boss, you're supposed to have people under you that know the answers. You don't have to know all. You just have to have the people that know the answers.
If you're women-owned, there's incentives, or you're minority-owned, there's different things. If you're veterans, there's different things. There's all kinds of things out there to help people.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
All right. So I know you have your brochure and you have notes, so I'm going to, again, be quiet and let you kind of, tell us whatever else you want to share.
Okay, I got about 5 minutes, right? I just want to, if you don't mind, I'll just talk about some high level,
Please do.
some accomplishments from this year. Wells in Dunkirk. Ice cream.
Ice cream.
Yep. They were bought by Ferrero.
Okay.
Ferrero Rocher,
Yeah, I do.
They're one of the largest
candy.
companies in Italy,
Yep.
and they have a lot of financial resources. They purchased Wells a couple of years ago, and they're investing heavily in that plant. Almost $500 million with a B
An
dollars.
Italian candy company has just bought the ice cream place in Dunkirk.
Phase 3 is a candy plant
Oh, what kind of candy?
on the second floor.
Right, it's chocolate?
Yeah, chocolate.
Oh, God. I just said it out loud. And
Yeah.
oh my.
So it's really interesting because, a lot of the ice creams now have all kinds of confections in them.
Yes.
And so you can see what's happening there. But,
Chocolate
that's
company.
$500 million, and we helped them through all three of the
man.
phases to get there. We talked about Ripley, but there's also Mason Industrial Park where we have about 60 acres that the IDA owns.
Where's that
IDA owns
located?
town of Ellicott.
Okay.
Yep, right near Bush Industries over there. But, we've had that 60 acres and we're moving to make that shovel ready. So we did all the environmental due diligence on it. We're done with that. And now we're, through assistance from the county's ARPA funds, making that shovel ready, spending about $500,000 on that.
People are listening right now. Are there, and I don't know how to phrase this quite right, but is there a type of industry you're looking for?
Well, like in Ripley, it's really warehousing, distribution, light manufacturing, because there are limits on the amount of electricity. So like a semiconductor company probably couldn't go there because we don't have enough juice. But, we're sort of limited by that. Certainly in Mason, because it's only really about 40 acres of developable land, it could be just about anything. So, we're going to really push out the marketing on both Mason and Ripley as we get closer to them being complete and target those industries that we feel would work best there.
Great.
Another couple things, the loans. Again, right now we do have a backlog for funding through that program, but we take a second lien position behind the bank. The banks love working with us, 4% interest. And we've got about $25 million out there working in the community right now. Wow. We talked about housing a little bit. We did a lot with the ARPA money through the county. There was the Ripley site. We did a business assistance grant. We pushed out 84 grants to businesses to sort of tune up their marketing presence, and then we were able to leverage that funding that we got from the county to get $260,000 from the Ralph Wilson Foundation.
Oh, yeah, that's huge, yeah.
Yeah, so between the two of us, it was about $700,000 out there. And then, this marketing stuff, we can't kind of come up with a marketing campaign, push it out there over a year and then drop it. So we got to continue to invest in that marketing campaign.
Absolutely.
We got to keep
You
investing.
cannot market.
Yeah. Yeah. So we have to keep doing that. And then we've got the other thing, we've got some key buildings here in the county that we want to get redeveloped before it's too late. Like the Furniture Mart building in downtown Jamestown. That's over 100,000 square feet. The Silver Creek School, we're working hard on a housing project there. The Lakeshore Hospital in Irving. So, there are a lot in the Truck Light building.
Right.
Super. I'm probably out of time.
You are out of time, exactly out of time. Jason, anything you want to add?
To learn more about what we do, go to choosechq.com. To learn more about living in Chautauqua County and the benefits, livechq.org.
Awesome. And Mark, your phone number one more time if somebody wants to contact you.
716-489-6075.
Guys, I believe in you. Keep up the great work. I really do. And I think we're in sync in what we're thinking, and I appreciate what you do. And thank you for supporting us. As an underwriter, it goes a long way for us. So, folks, I hope you learned a lot, and we're going to continue this discussion over time. So check these guys out and have a great weekend. And we're going to do this all again next Saturday morning right here at XS Chautauqua Spectrum 1301. Remember, if you missed any of the show, you can always watch it again throughout the week or go it on YouTube and Facebook. We're everywhere. Take care. Bye-bye.